It looks like he has some like wine or champagne. Should we go get some? Like, cheers.
Ah, yeah, ready? Cheers. Hang on.
Cheers.
Ink. Welcome to my bathtub. Just kidding. I've never had a bathtub that looks this fancy or nice. The reason why I brought you to the bathroom and into this bathtub is the story I want to share with you makes when it happened, I realized this after the event was over and I was looking back at everything that happened. The best way I could explain it to other people was it was like that scene in Napoleon Dynamite where Pedro starts to like feel really hot and he can't figure out why. And then he ends up in the bathtub and then shaves all his hair off because his hair is what's making him hot.
Obviously.
Um, I had a similar situation or a similar experience. The year was 2021. The month was probably April, I don't know. But I was doing my taxes and I had worked and lived in Utah for the first half of 2020. And then I moved to Texas and worked and lived in Texas for the last half of 2020. And so I don't know if you know this, but Utah and Texas are different states with different tax laws. And so as I was trying to figure out my taxes, I had to consider that Utah is a state that does have state tax that you have to file. Texas is a state that does not have state tax. Both of them, though, you have to pay federal taxes for.
Yeah.
And so I was sitting there at my kitchen table looking at, and also the year before, when I lived in Salt Lake, one of the things I had done is I worked as a private contractor, as a speech therapist. And so I had to file that, like, what, 1099. And I'd never really filed, like, used a 1099. I had only one half, like, I had only a few months of experience using a 1099. Because I'd had to file it like that in like 2020, but I still was like, "Ugh, I don't know what to do. Ugh," and I was having a hard time. And so this year, though, I had more income to report with the 1099, so the amount of information I had to report was different. But also because I was doing my federal taxes based on two states and income earned in two states, but then only one state had state taxes and the other one didn't. I was running into a problem on, I don't know, like TurboTax or wherever I was doing my taxes that year, of like trying to figure out how to get it to like file through and go through to submit it because they kept being like, yeah, you got the taxes right. Yes, all of this is correct. And then I would try to submit it and they kept becoming an error message. And I couldn't figure it out. And I was so persistent on like, no, but I need to figure this out and I couldn't, and it kept giving me an error message. And then I was like, well, let me try calling them. And then I saw that like you had to like pay for help or something. And I was like, no, this is stupid. I'm not that rich. Last year was a pandemic. I didn't work a lot. Um, and so I was just like, this is dumb. And I was getting angrier and angrier. I started swearing a whole lot more as I want to do when I'm frustrated, to the point that my sweet dog, who is very loyal. In fact, he came in and he's asleep on the carpet behind me, which for him just to be chill while I'm talking to someone on the computer is like huge, good milestone for him. Because he's such a like mama's boy that he's like, no, but look at me, pay attention to me, blah blah blah. So he is like a very sweet and loyal and devoted dog. But I was so frustrated doing my taxes and swearing so much that he quietly excused himself and was outside because of until he heard all the swearing subside. And then even after that, took probably like about another hour to come back in.
Really?
Never see me this angry and
What?
this upset and had never heard me say fuck so many times and or scream it so many times. I was having a full-on meltdown. Like
Oh,
if I were a child trying to do something and not being able to do it and the screaming and crying and hysteria that you would see from that child, I was having the adult form of it. Sometimes they happen. And it was all because I could not figure out how to submit my taxes. And I
right.
was very frustrated. And, it's April, so I'm like, deadline, come on, because of course I have to put it off until the end because I don't want to do it before then. And now the other thing about taxes, I hate that we have to do them because I'm like, the government knows what we owe. If we've been paying taxes, if you've been withholding money from my salary this whole time, you're aware of how much I earned. And I get that there are people who don't report their salaries that way, blah, blah, blah. Those people maybe need to figure something else out. But for everyone else that is like their money is being reported to the government throughout the entire year,
Yeah.
now, what you're trying to make me do is suddenly be a CPA when that is not what I've trained for. And then, oh, no pressure, but if you get this wrong, we might audit you and or send you to jail if you can't math right. And it's like if I got audited, I'm totally screwed because I don't save receipts. I'm not organized. I wouldn't know what to do. And so then all signs point to me going to jail. And this is like the emotional state I'm in where I'm like, just let me file these fucking taxes. And I'm like, so worried that I'm going to go to jail because they're going to be like, you mathed it wrong. And math was always hard for me anyway. And I'm like, I'm using this software. Why isn't it working? My dog is outside, so I don't have an emotional support animal inside anymore because I've terrorized him and scared him away. And I all of a sudden just had this moment where I was just like, it's this hair. It's this damn hair is making everything hotter, and this damn hair is making everything harder to do right now. And I've been needing a haircut. And if I had just had my shit together and had cut my hair before all of this, this wouldn't be so hard. So then cut to pause my taxes and my swearing long enough to go into the bathroom, and me who had cut my hair before during the pandemic because I followed YouTube videos and it looked okay, but like also I have thick hair and I have a lot of hair, so it's very forgiving. And I usually have always kept it long enough that I could just pull back into a ponytail. So like even if I did something really terrible, I can hide it pretty well. I was like, I need a haircut. I didn't watch any videos. I was like, you did it twice during the pandemic. You know what you're doing. And just started being like, and like chopping at my hair, being like, it's kind of like this, right? And just like doing all this kind of stuff. And I probably cut my hair for about 30 minutes. Then I stopped and looked at my lopsided hair, very much kind of like I look like a pencil from Fleabag, sister, kind of like moment where, and like I wasn't that bad, but I looked and I was like, this looks so stupid and you look really dumb. And I'm like covered in hair. And then all of a sudden I was like, and just started sobbing. And then that's finally when I just started crying because I was like, I just don't know how to get my taxes submitted. And then got to me with a terrible self-done haircut, with my dog outside because I've sworn too much, and me just sitting on a tub in the bathroom crying with like hair all over me and itchy, and then just being like, what have I done? And so then I just let myself cry, and I cried probably for like a good 5, 10 minutes with like those really ugly like sobs, and like you like start to choke and like just snot and tears everywhere. Let it all get out of my body. And then finally I was like, and then I stood up, took a shower, put on some clean clothes, swept up the hair, made myself lunch, and ate.
Okay.
Dog eventually came back in. I felt a million times better. He wasn't scared of me anymore. And I finally was like, you can do this, Casey. And I went back to my computer, and then I saw what I was doing wrong and it was very obvious. And it's just because I skimmed instead of actually reading everything about how to submit the separate state tax information.
Yeah.
And that was the problem. And it wasn't because my hair was bothering me. It was because I was clearly very dysregulated. I was not fully reading the instructions and just trying to guess at that. And that led me to believe that I should also just guess at cutting my own hair. When I finally let myself feel what I was feeling, which was frustrated and defeated by taxes, and also recognize that I was spiraling about possibly being audited and sent to jail because I'm not a CPA. Um, I came back to reality. I took care of some metabolic needs, some sensory needs, and then I just read. I slowed myself down enough to read, figured it out, and guess what, Chelsea? I didn't get audited. I didn't get arrested. I didn't go to jail. I didn't get a refund that year either, but that's fine, whatever. They got all my taxes. Everything was fine. And then I went and got a haircut to fix my haircut.
Okay, so how long was your hair before and after said chop?
So it was definitely longer than it is now. This haircut now is the result also of a self haircut, but with a lot more practice under my belt and or a lot less care about whether or not my hair actually looks okay.
Yeah.
So those elements also have combined really beautifully at this stage of my life. But at the time I would say my hair was probably like down to here, like so just past my shoulders, and then I cut it up to like above my shoulder on one side and then a little bit higher on the other side. And it it looked bad. And then also I have again thick hair, and it's thick hair that thinks about being curly sometimes, but mostly is just like wavy. And so then when you have like a lot of thick hair that has some texture to it, it's also prone to like mushroom out or frizz out or triangle out, depending on whether or not you put enough shape and product into it, but mostly shape. And so yeah, it just looked real bad. That's
What did
it.
do you remember what the hairdresser said to you when you like went in? Were they like pretty cool?
Well, when I say that I went and got a haircut, I really mean I called my friend across town and said I'm too embarrassed to go and get a hairstylist. I have to clean up this mess. Can you do it? And she also had no training. So
Nice.
I don't always make the best decisions. It's the takeaway here, especially after a stressful situation. But also the other takeaway is one of my mental models around hair is just like it's just hair.
Yeah.
Like
Same.
I realize like I'm very like hair privileged and that like I've just always had thick hair. I've always had a lot of it. It grows pretty easily. Thankfully, that was something that my mom was also really good at modeling throughout my life, where she would get haircuts and stuff, but like she'd even when I was trying to like see if I could cut hair back in my 20s, she was like, "Yeah, you can trim my hair," because she had pretty short hair and I cut it really way too short.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, that's okay, it'll grow back. Like, so
Oh,
I luckily had those kind of mental models in my head. So I was just very much like, nah, it's hair, it'll grow back.
yeah.
So I wasn't that worried about it. So then with my friend, when she came, I just said, the biggest thing is, can you just make it like so it's even? And I explained to her the basic process of like, use this as your guide now, because that has been the terrible, and like how to use a guide to like cut your hair across. And so she did it. And people were very gracious and nice about it at work. They said, "Hey, your hair looks great," and not like in a ha 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 cool bracelet and then turning and like that's the fuggliest bracelet I've ever seen kind of thing. Like they seemed genuine. So I think she did a good enough job cleaning my hair up. And again, it was still long enough that I could also just pull it up if it looked too weird that day.
Yeah.
And eventually I did get to a hairdresser who cut my hair. And then that's after that one, I was like, well, if I know that I can give myself a terrible haircut and survive, I will stop paying $40 to $50 to get my hair cut by someone who seems afraid to cut thick hair. And so I'm always like paying $40 to $50 to be disappointed and always and having to small talk with someone for an hour. So
Yeah.
then I just started cutting my own hair, but I started like actually watching more videos about how to do it so that it didn't look as awful every single time.
I love that. I cut my own hair too. So I 100% agree because curly hair, I have like very curly hair, thick
Yes.
hair. The
Make
individual strands are like pretty fine. But it's like a lot, like oh, just a lot, very curly. And I have the hairdressers do the same thing around like just being really intimidated or being like really apprehensive around cutting hair. And then I would go to curly hair specialists and it would be like $300 for a haircut. And I was like, I
oh,
literally cannot afford this.
no.
So I, like you, watched a lot of YouTube tutorials. Brad Mondo is my favorite. He definitely came up a lot on the pandemic, like rose claim to fame in the pandemic because he was doing the hair tutorials and have been really happy. Once you get like the right scissors and you actually follow instructions and don't just go off the beaten path, because I've done that a few times where I'm like, oh, I know. And then I'm like, I do not know. Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely helps a lot.
For sure. Yeah. My channel was Mains by Mel, who also
Okay.
is here. And so same thing where I was just like, oh, okay. And then yeah, same thing. Just the biggest thing I learned too is make sure you have good scissors,
Yeah.
probably like a pretty regulated metabolic system and sensory and emotional system before you go into it.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. I was very shocked at how cheap scissors are, like hair cutting scissors. I think I paid less than $10 for mine, and I love them.
Yeah. I think at the time, like the ones that I first invested in were probably like $15. And then
Okay.
I lost those for a while. And then I went to I don't know, like Sally's or whatever beauty supply store. And I got a pair there and they were more expensive and they were like almost $30. But it was also like, just this last year, which inflation had happened since my first pair. And then I found my first pair. So now I have two pairs of good scissors that I can use to cut my hair. But still, total all in investment is still less than a haircut, one
Yeah,
single haircut.
100%.
And again, if anyone's going to disappoint me for giving me a bad haircut, I want it to be myself rather than a stranger I paid money to. So.
It's true. Yeah, it's an art skill. Well, I love your hair. I think every time I see you, it's always great. So,
Well, you know what? You're very kind, and I have gone on record with other people, and I will go on record right here. I love your hair, Chelsea.
oh, thank
I
you.
love the curls. I love the way you cut it. I love it when it's pulled back, and I love it when it's wild and free.
Yeah, I need to. This is like when I have gone past part of ADHD, at least manifest for me, is it's hard to take a full body shower.
100%. Yep.
Hard.
Here, 100%. Yep.
Got the steps. It's like you have to go in, you have to like wash your hair, but it's not just like cleansing your hair and then like conditioning your hair and then putting in all the product and then like having it air dry and then if you want it to look good, then diffusing it and like all it's just like a lot of steps and a lot of work and I just
Wash day, hair wash day is just, it's a whole other thing.
it is. It
That's
takes
part of why I keep my hair short is because I have a lot of like skin issues, scalp issues. And so I have to wash my hair more frequently just to help control like the scalp, like the dry scalp psoriasis, seborrheic dermatitis kind of stuff that flares up for me time to time. And so it's actually like you have to wash your hair more to manage it better, as well as like you can use certain shampoos and stuff. But really, it's just like you have to like make sure your hair is clean because your scalp is just prone to get out of whack with like the melissacia fungus or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a, okay. I'm talking like I know stuff I don't. But anyway, all I know is my dermatologist said the best way to manage this would just be to wash your hair more frequently and then just like check and make sure nothing feels too dry. But I'm like, oh, if I really need to wash my hair that much, I would rather have like to do that than have an irritated scalp all the time because that's also not fun. But if I'm gonna have to wash my hair more, then I'm gonna want to have less hair to wash every time because it's just so much effort the washing, but it's like beyond the washing because the washing is actually very pretty easy once you get in there and do it. It's
yeah,
everything that happens after having a wet head, having to style it, having to like babysit it, having to like try to get it to look normal again the next day after you've been asleep. That
yeah,
kind
it's true.
of
I have found that silk bonnets work really well for me. I mean, I say silk bonnets, but I think it's actually like not silk, it's satin. Um, that has been helpful.
that's
That's,
good. I try, but I am a crazy sleeper. And
mm,
so I'd always start the night with it on, and then I'd wake up on the other side of the bed and my bonnet would be like over there.
yeah,
Because I've always been like a blah kind of sleeper. So I like that that works for you. I just use silk pillowcases now instead.
that's okay.
But when I say silk again, I mean like satin blend. Silky filling pillowcases is my little luxury because then I was like, okay, cool. So then my head is still sleeping on
Yes,
something silky. I just am not, it's not a bonnet
yeah,
because it can stay on this big old noggin of mine anyway.
I know. Well, I got a big noggin too.
Yeah, between the size and between my movements, it was like, well, it was a fun thought.
Good luck. Yeah.
Anyway,
Challenge, next level challenge. Well,
yes.
I'm glad that you were successful at filing your taxes. Taxes are a bitch. Not my favorite. Yeah. Glad that you were able to be regulated, metabolically regulated too. I'm sure the shower helped. The good cry, the good shower, the good food, the like
I
reconnecting.
said, once all that happened, I was like, wait, was this it the whole time? I was like, yeah, you dummy. You could have stopped and eaten and like showered. You could have skipped the haircut step, but oh well,
You
live
know,
and learn.
you gotta let go of stuff to bring in the good.
Sometimes you just gotta give yourself a really shitty haircut to realize what you really need to do is eat a sandwich, cry, and take a shower.
There you go. There you go. Has your tax filing been more successful in the later years or since?
Since then, well, the next year I only had one W. No, I had still had two W-2s, but by then I had 3 years. That was my third year of experience doing a 1099, so that was a lot easier.
Yeah.
So, and then I only had one Texas income to report, and since that one was also again just the federal, that was so much easier. And so, yeah, so I've eventually gotten there to where it's been a lot easier, but I still every time I'm like, why did they make us do this? This is stupid. Just tell me how much I owe if I didn't pay enough or give me the refund if you guys took too much. Quit trying to make me do some sort of weird math squid game and maybe get sent to jail for this.
It's true.
Anyway.
It's true. Well, if any of us are ever audited, I'm sure we'll have some mental models to from then. I remember any of my accounting or any finance classes, all I knew is like, I'm gonna hire an accountant. Like, once I have money, I'm hiring an accountant. We have an
100%.
accountant and I am happy to pay him what we pay him every year because it is not my favorite.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah. That's always what I think is like, I'm going to know I made it when I can hire someone to do my taxes and pay movers to help me move.
Yes, oh my God.
Not there yet, but
Yeah, same about the moving and yeah,
on my way.
yeah, we're there. That's when we made it, baby.
You know, you made it, baby. Hiring movers and CPAs.
Yes, I've got the CPA, but that's strictly because Phil has been using this same CPA for his like business and I've just like inherited it. So I don't know if I would have been
That's it's not about love with Phil, it's really about the CPA. That's why you married him.
CPA.
Whole last episode was a lie.
It was. Spoiler.
Well, as long as Phil knows, it's fine.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, go enjoy swimming around in the bath and
I
just
will. I think
relax.
I might even run for class president after this.
Yeah,
Who
you
knows?
should. You should.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go enjoy the rest of your day too.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Will do. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.